Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ari, and today we're going to have some more stories about our toxic life. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to my channel, like the video, if you enjoy it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now without further ado, let's go. Today's first story. In this story, Opie reflects on his wife, marked by early challenges after a miscarriage, strained by the demands of parenting. Tensions escalate as his wife returns to work, leading to a discovery of her infidelity. Confronting her with evidence, he exposes the affair to her workplace, resulting in her termination. Despite the emotional fallout, he prioritizes his daughter's well-being, concealing the details of the divorce. Over 2 years, he navigates single parenthood, determined to provide a stable life for his daughter despite the betrayal. Now let's get into the story. I'm 40 years old, my wife is 35, and we've been married for about a decade. She and I started off with an amazing relationship. We waited to get married because she miscarried in a previous relationship. Eventually, I told her I wanted to get married even if she couldn't have a child. We did. And 2 years later, we welcomed our daughter. Things seemed great, but the tension was there at first. Having a kid is exhausting. As you probably know, when our daughter grew up, she claimed that I wasn't giving her as much attention. I explained that she was a new mom and the breadwinner, and I had to make sure that everyone was taken care of. I was trying my best, but I could feel the resentment getting to her for a bit. For a few years, we worked it out. Eventually, our daughter grew up, and it got easier to have a relationship. Still, I felt like there was some strange animosity that came with this, even though I did my best to fix this and made accommodations for her as well. While we did try to make things better, there was still some tension there. Even though we did get past the tension before, something still felt off. When our daughter started school, my wife went back to work. I told her that she didn't need to do that, but she insisted that she wanted to for another reason. I've been handling the bills, but I decided she was just being nice about it, so I brushed it off. She spent less time at home, which I found to be a bit weird. Our daughter was a little older, and I stepped up to be the one to take care of her. She would get home late sometimes because she told me she had to put a lot more time into the jobs that she missed so much. I found it weird, but I didn't try to question it. One night we had a big fight over my daughter's grades. She accused me of not being there since I spent a lot of time at my own job. I called her out, but she called me narcissistic, selfish, and only caring about myself. I was shocked because she didn't seem to actively put effort into the relationship either. I was so confused. She became cold and a lot more distant. She was now more distant than before. I tried to make things better for both of us. I decided, hey, let me go to her workplace to surprise her. When I got there, she was gone. I called her to ask where she is. She told me about a restaurant nearby. I got there, but she was not there. She mentioned she changed her mind and she went somewhere else. I asked where and I wanted to meet up, but she said she couldn't say. She was not sure yet. At this point, I thought it was a bit strange. I decided to give her the benefit of the doubt though. She told me she's going to a work conference. I asked where I could bring my daughter. She hesitated, saying she was not sure yet. Now, at this point, I didn't know what to believe, and my gut feeling said something otherwise. I decided to check her work email since it was open, and I found the hotel. I put a tracker on her luggage only to find out she didn't go to that hotel, but instead to another nearby. Why in the world would she lie about where she was going and what hotel was she really at? Curious, I decided to follow her. I got to that hotel and I figure out where she is from the tracking device that I used. When I got up there, I heard sounds of moans and the like. I suddenly saw that the door is left open slightly, and that's when I found it. She was with another man. Tears of sadness and rage fell down my face. But I couldn't let her know just yet. I decided to wait for them to walk out. They do, and I walked down the hall. I told her that I know everything, that she'd been cheating on me with another man. She tried to lie, but I pulled out my phone which records their voices. I asked her plainly what really happened. She then goes off to say that I'm not attentive to her needs and that she wanted a divorce anyways. I got so angry. I told her that she shouldn't come home to see her daughter again. She confessed that this is a co-worker and that she'd been talking for a bit. She said that she'd been going out with him because he paid for her meals. She claimed that she only kissed him, but the sounds were there. I was furious. She had a child with me. She claimed that I was the only one for her. How could she do this to me? Afterward, I left, but not without uploading that footage of her confession to the cloud. I told her boss about it, that she cheated on me, broke a family apart, and put her own needs before her daughter's. They fired her. I kicked her out of the house. Everyone knows that she's a cheater, so I've made sure to have it known in everything possible. Since then, I don't know where she is, but I've been able to help my daughter recover. I've stepped up, divorced her, and it's been 2 years. I've kept the details private from my daughter since she doesn't need to know. But since then, I've raised her, and I've done my best to provide the best life that I can, despite what her cheating mom did to me. Today's second story. In this story, Opie's routine with his wife takes an unexpected turn when she becomes secretive and lies about going to a different laundromat. Discovering she communicated with a man and suspecting infidelity, a heated confrontation ensues. They eventually divorce, with the wife staying briefly with the veteran she had been involved with. When he ends the relationship, she tries to reconnect with her ex, who firmly rejects her, emphasizing she is no longer his responsibility. Now let's get into the story. Every Thursday afternoon, my wife took our clothes to the laundromat. I'd get home from work around 5, and she'd still be out because she slept in late and watched soap operas before going. But to her credit, she always had dinner ready and waiting for us. I usually waited till she got back to get myself a serving, but one night she still wasn't back by 6:30. That was awfully late. I texted and called her, but she didn't answer. She had a flip phone and had trouble paying attention to it. I just hoped she was okay. I finally ate a couple of bites, then decided to drive to the laundromat to help her out. I found her loading the clean clothes into the van. She was surprised to see me and started stammering when I asked what gave her a late start today. She blushed and finally admitted she was reading a steamy romance. I laughed because she was paving so shamefully around me, when normally she would be so outgoing and dramatic about the book she read. She was very animated and sexual with me, but when she mentioned it this time, she was embarrassed and didn't want to talk about it. That made me wonder if she was thinking of someone else or if something else happened that day. When we got home, she didn't sit down with me to eat. She urged me to eat without her while she got a shower because she felt yucky. That was different too. It was pretty normal for me to sneak into the bathroom and give her a little start while she was showering just before I hopped in with her. So I decided I should take advantage of that and see how she reacted. She actually screamed. She was so freaked out. She was obviously on edge. I tried to shush her and calm her down, reaching out to take her in my arms, but she ignored me and continued washing her private area. She said I scared the crap out of her, and for that reason she was mad. I told her she seemed on edge and different before that. She climbed out of the shower to dry off and became exasperated with my insistence. She swore to me that she was fine and just felt worn out from cleaning. She was nearly snapping at me, and it was so out of character for her that I stood there staring at her. She told me not to look at her like that and left the bathroom. I went into autopilot for the next few days while I observed my wife's behavior. She was as quiet and normal looking as possible. It was like she knew something that she wanted to tell me, but couldn't. There weren't any celebrations coming up, and as far as I could tell, something was wrong. She took longer to get home again the next Thursday, but she said it was because she went to a different one. I asked why, and she said it was because it was cleaner and newer. I accepted that for the time being, but when I drove by it the next day after work, it was super dumpy and gross. I couldn't believe my wife lied so blatantly about why she didn't go to the same laundromat. When I got home, we sat down for a quiet dinner, and I asked her why she lied to me. She looked like a deer in headlights. She asked what I was talking about, and I asked her if she had more than one lie going. She said she wasn't sure what I meant. I told her I drove by the laundromat, and it wasn't cleaner or newer, as she said. Just then, her phone rang in the living room, and I got up to get it. She jumped up too, but sat down when she realized I wasn't going to stop. It was an unprogrammed number. I answered it, and it was some man. He hung up when he heard my voice. Before going back to the dining room, I looked at her text and saw she had some back-and-forth messages with this number. He thanked her for her help and asked her if she'd be there again next Thursday. She said no and asked him to stop messaging her. He asked why and then called 2 seconds prior. A text apology and wrong number came through. My wife came to look at me and took her phone out of my hands. I told her she needed to tell me what happened right then. I wasn't waiting for another second to find out what happened that changed her and made her start lying to me. She locked her phone and collapsed on the couch, planting her face in her hands. She told me that she met a man at the laundromat last week. He was a veteran that just got back from serving a few days ago. He was looking for the touch of a woman since it had been a long time. He was pretty straightforward, and my wife felt like she had to help him because he needed it. He was a hero, and it was just like her steamy novels. I was furious. I knocked over a lamp, and a huge fight ensued. I asked why, and she said something, but my blood was boiling so bad I couldn't even listen to what she was saying. The neighbors actually knocked on her front door in the middle of it, and when they saw my face, they were scared. They asked if we needed any help because they heard the commotion, and I told them we were just addressing my wife's infidelity, but it would be fine once she left. She said she wasn't leaving until the courts told her she had to leave the house. The neighbors left quickly to let us continue our discussion. I ended up leaving because she was a stubborn cow. I rented a hotel room for a while, stayed with my cousin, then with a friend. All until the divorce was final and she was ordered to leave. Before it was official, my wife ignored me while living in her house and probably having the veteran over. After she was ordered to leave, she called me. I didn't answer, so she texted me calling me a few names and asking me why I had to be like this and other nonsense. She was just bitter because she thought she was going to win. When I rejoined the dating game, word spread that we divorced because of her infidelity. Her family caught wind of it and asked me where she was living now. I didn't know, so it was a while before people found out she was staying with the veteran in his tiny, dark apartment. She went off the grid for a while, even from her family, and stayed with him until he kicked her out. He let his relative move in, and he told her brothers come first over a woman as the reason for kicking her out. Basically, he got some overdue woman fun until he was done playing house and moved on with his life. My ex tried reconnecting with me then, feeling ashamed for being so willing to share herself with him when she had a wonderful marriage with me. I told her I was over it, and she wasn't my responsibility anymore.